Hi, my name is Alicia Garza. This evening I'm going to be talking about student case study presentation for our class 622. I'm going to give him the nickname of Chris or CL. The assessments that I gave him was the Bergantz, the Key Math 3, Woodcock-Johnson, phonological awareness skills assessment, as well as the student and parent transitional survey, and educator and student air self skill. We see the Bergantz scores mode. I gave the mode because I did not have the scoring sheet for the Bergantz nor the CDs. So what I did was I got the mode scores for these tests, and I did that by grade level. But keep in mind that a lot of these assessments are not normed for deaf and hard of hearing students. They're normally normed for hearing students. But yet, if a professional who can give these tests within their native language, it depends. But best practices recommended is only for deaf and hard of hearing students or nonverbal testing or assessments. Yet once again, they can take these assessments. Areas some won't apply to them. So let's look at these scores. Area of readiness, he earned a K.8. Listening was at a first grade level. Word recognition, once again at a first grade level. Oral reading, upper first grade. Reading comprehension for short passages was at a lower first grade level. Long passages, first grade level. Word analysis not applicable once again because my student is deaf, couldn't really hear a lot of the sounds. Chris does have one ear profoundly deaf in one ear, and the other is mod to severe. Spelling area, Chris earned a second grade level. Writing was at a K.4. So let's move on with mathematics. We see his placement test for math was at a first grade level. Number and operations at a kinder. Algebra K.2. Geometry first grade level. Measurement kinder. Data analysis and probability kinder. So let's move on to key math. Here once again I inputted the scores, and we got intervals, grade equivalents for Chris. Numerations for testing, he got lower than K. Algebra lower than K. Geometry was at a K.2. Measurement was at a K.5. Data analysis and probability was at a K.9. Basic concepts, Chris leveled out at a K.2, which put him at a 3 percentile. Mental comp estimation, he was lower than a K level. Additional subtraction, he was at a first 1.2 level. Multiplication, division, he was at a 1.8. Let's move on. Operations, he was at a K.8, which once again put him at a 2 percentile. Foundations of problem solving, applied problem solving. So foundations, he was lower than a K level. Applied problems, he was at a K.2. Applications, he was at a lower than a K, we see here, which once again put him at a 2 percentile. Total tests, Chris was at a K.2 level, which once again put him at a 2 percentile. And once again, we see the similarities within these assessments. Let's moving on to the Woodcock-Johnson scores and results. Brief reading, he leveled out at a 1.3. Brief math, K.9. Academic applications was at a K.9. We go move down to identification. He was at a 1.5. Reading fluency 1.8. Calculations 2.6. Passage comprehension, he was at a 1.2. First 1.2. Applied problems was at lower than a K. Writing samples 1.5. So seeing the similarities in these areas was really neat to see, and which gave valid that he is leveling at between a K and a first grade level at the moment. So let's move on. Let's talk about IEP information. Christopher is, once again, Chris. We're giving him that name. He was born January 17th, 2006. He is a 10.5-year-old male who is in fourth grade, who lives with his parents. Native language spoken at home. They speak English and Spanish at the home. He does not require an interpreter. His skill signing is not that high. He lives with parents, Elio Lopez and mom Sarah Robles. Ethnicity, once again, Hispanic. So let's look at the student's present levels. Let's move on to his present levels. Strengths and preferences. Chris's strengths, mom has shared that he loves and enjoys fishing with dad outdoors. He's pretty good with math, mom says, and reading as well. And he likes, at times he writes to communicate with mom or dad or family members. Concerns that mom has or needs, what areas of need. Mom states that parent feels he is not being challenged enough at the moment. Chris is able to recognize and read 70 words from district first grade high frequency word list at the moment. He's also able to spell 24 spelling words from weekly stories in class. In math area, he's able to correctly solve single digit additional and subtraction problems utilizing visuals. He's currently working on double digits, subtraction and additional, but he struggles with, without regrouping, he struggles with that. Communication development. Chris has a desire to communicate, but unfortunately he struggles to effectively express himself. Repetitive and expressive vocabulary has improved, but he is still highly unintelligible. Sign language is helping to close the gap between what he is thinking and what he is vocalizing. Sign language needs to be emphasized and used daily to establish a solid method of communication. Chris is a natural signer, but yet he has chosen to be oral. He started in a deaf ed program, then was sent back to district, his home school district, and mom kept him there. Just going through the process. And finally, mom and dad have joined and have started signing, are taking ASL classes at the moment and involving their younger siblings, or their children, Chris's siblings as well. Gross and fine motor development. Chris is able to walk, run, access playground equipment at recess, and he is also access different areas of campus without any problems. Once again, socially emotional, he gets along well with others, and daily living, he's able to do for himself. Chris, health-wise, he needs to wear his glasses. He does wear glasses. Once again, he does wear hearing aids. Let's say he socializes. He's able to take turns, gets along well with peers and other staff members in all areas. Special factors. Student requirements, assistive technology, requires low incident services, materials to meet educational goals, individual and small group settings, instruction and supports to progress in general education curriculum. Student wears making sure that he's got his FM. Student will be taking the CLD, and he is a English language learner. Needs language support such as ASL. Providers should be special ed teacher, DHH itinerant, and speech and language pathologist. His behavior does not impede his learning or others. 4 goals that I gave him were in the areas of academic writing, reading, math, and language. We see here, given core curriculum, Chris will spell 35 words from the first grade 500 high utility words. Given core curriculum materials, Chris will read 150 first grade simple high frequency words with 90% correct each opportunity as measured by work samples. Third goal, given core curriculum materials, Chris will solve subtraction and addition problems with 2-digit numbers without having to regroup with 90% correct. And fourth goal is, after listening to a story, Chris will retell the story by sequencing a series of 5 pictures from the story in a correct order, 2 out of 3 sequencing opportunities. So other faith services, he selected LRE, which is the least restricted environment. Consideration is given to any harmful effect on the child or quality of services that the child needs. So special academic instructions, 310 minutes daily. DHH itinerant services, 30 minutes monthly. Audiological services, 120 minutes yearly. Speech and language, 60 minutes weekly. Special education and related services, we just talked about that. He will be available, or he qualifies for extended school year. He is a member or client of CCS, California Children's Services, who's another agent. Students eligible for mental health services under Chapter 26.5, not at the moment. Implications for instruction, I recommended staff to help Chris with the ability to read, for reading and understanding, to pre-teach, create a word bank with pictures and words, to keep that with him, pause and discuss with students on his thoughts regards to a sentence or a story that they just read, to be able to, after reading a passage, ask WH questions to Chris. Also teaching him how to use a calculator with 3 and 4 digit numbers, and visually showing him those steps. And I just went all the way back, so I apologize. Okay. Oh, we're going back. So let me finish with his writing ability. Explain the rules, how to create a sentence and model that to him. Show him how to start and end a sentence. Show him with his word bank, also with creating sentences. We read from right to left. Having Chris write letters to his best friends or even relatives. For parents, my recommendations for parents are to read with Chris every night a book and talk about it. Let's talk about WH questions. Or as they go out in outings, fishing, or restaurants, ask them WH questions. Have Chris order what he'd like to eat, and maybe try to go with him and model how to pay that so that he understands the value of money. And have him write to a relative during the summer time so that he can write about his vacation or something to help with the writing. And that is all I have for CL's IEP. Thank you. Have a good evening.